viewers, to another wonderful day of the Leadership Conversation. And as I promised you this week, I was having an amazing lady in the studio with us today. Her name is Krista Mollion, and we are going to be learning so much because she's a podcaster, she's a marketer, she helps solopreneurs and entrepreneurs develop strategies that help them to grow their business, to scale up their business and become great. She is a wonderful mom to 4 amazing kids, and she's going to be talking to us all about juggling as a mom. She branched out into setting up her own business, and there is so much that I believe that we're going to learn from her. Before we go to her, I just want to encourage you, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel or Facebook, this is the time to do it now. Also take out your phone or whatever device you're watching on and share this link with somebody. Share it with a girlfriend, because we are about to learn so many great things, so many great tips that's going to help us to become better solopreneurs or entrepreneurs or leaders in general. So welcome aboard, Krista. You are most welcome to share your time with us today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's great. I think before we go in today, I'm going to give you I want you to tell something about you to the audience, something fun about you to the audience before we go into the serious stuff.
Okay. Well, behind me, I have a screensaver because I just adopted a kitten. And so this is lucky. And so my daughter asked me, my daughter is 4, the younger one, and she asked me to put this on my screen. So it's just a little bit of fun to change things up.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you ever so much. So before I start giving out questions, because we've got tons of questions to be asking you today, because I believe that the more we ask the question, the more we interact, the more people are going to learn more. But if I was to give you 60 seconds or say 2 minutes to tell us briefly about you. Who's Krista? Sorry.
First and foremost, I'm a business owner and a mom. And then I help other people because I love doing consulting and business coaching and just helping other people be successful. I've always been a servant leader, very community driven, a mentor. And the last thing about me is that I'm a big content creator. So I write, I do podcasting, I do video, I produce graphics. I'm just constantly trying to put out more content in the goal of helping the more people possible, because I truly believe that it only takes one piece of advice to encourage someone to make a major change in their life. And you never know who you're reaching and giving that advice at the right time that they need to hear that message. So that's me in a nutshell.
Wow, that's amazing. I like the bit where you're saying that you never know when one piece of information or one piece of advice that you go on becomes the turning point in somebody's life. So hence why you put out, and again, I like the bit that you say you put out content, but then I also believe that, and I've been following you on LinkedIn, and I believe that, and I see that you put out the right content as well. And I think that's something as leaders, we should be wary of, because you don't know who you are influencing. You don't know who's been following you. You don't know who's listening to your message. And we've got to be careful about the message that we put out there, not a hate message. Sometimes you see some leaders and the messages they're putting out and the content they're putting out, it's not really helpful. It's rather destroying people. So, I mean, I would just say well done, because I watch a lot of your content and I see a lot of the stuff that you write, and they are indeed inspiring to someone. Can you tell us what your brand message is? What is Krista's brand message?
My brand message is quite simple. It's to be the best version of yourself and to fulfill your life's purpose. I truly believe that each of us is on this earth for a reason. Our goal is to figure out what that reason is. And once we figure it out, we have to fulfill it. My mission is really to empower others to live their best life. And when I realized that calling, I started doing more and more content creation.
Can I also ask, so majority of the people that you try to reach, are they males, females, or just anyone? Because I mean,
yeah.
And I'm not saying you just do woman stuff, but I just kind of relate to you a lot more because I know that you're a female, you're a mother, you are doing the whole juggling act thing. I identify with you. So are you geared towards more women or more men or just anyone?
So when I first decided that I wanted to start coaching, I wanted to be a female empowerment mindset coach and a life coach.
Yeah.
But I quickly realized that not many women want to hear what I have to say.
Why is
And
that?
and what's happened is over the time I've realized that more men align with what I'm saying and more men reach out and put in the work. And the reason is simple. Women tend to be more caregivers and more giving towards others and not taking enough for themselves first. You know the expression, put on your oxygen mask first?
Yeah. Yeah.
Women do the opposite. They tend to over-sacrifice themselves for the sake of other people around them who they love. So their hearts are in the right place, but their strategies are flawed. And when I try to shift their mindset into you can have everything. You do not have to sacrifice your own dreams, your own wishes, really balance it all out. A lot of them are afraid because it's so ingrained in who they are as human beings that they can't. So they'll start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. And then they never put themselves first and they never bring it to the end. And as you see in women's traditional careers, most women at some point in their lives have dropped out of the workforce for the sake of caregiving. Caregiving for their husbands' careers, caregiving for children, caregiving for their elderly parents, caregiving for somebody or maybe for everybody. Men don't do that because men's job is to provide. So men have to go make the money, provide for women. And we're in 2021. Women don't need to do that anymore. But yet it's so hard for them to uncondition what they've learned, what they've seen from their mothers, from their grandmothers, what maybe even their husbands. It feels very traditional. And the truth is, you can be a great wife, a great mother, a great daughter. You do not have to follow those traditional paths. And on the contrary, if you want to be a good role model for your sons and your daughters, you want them to say, I'm so proud of my mom. I'm so proud of what she accomplished. You don't want your children to say, oh, I feel so sorry for my mom. I would never want to end up like her. She sacrificed her whole life, her dreams, her career. Yet many women fall back into that pattern. So unfortunately, I'd have to say that although I can help women most, they're the ones who least want to work with me.
And then you said that men don't have to make those sacrifices, or majority of men don't make those sacrifices because they are meant to be the providers. But have we not seen life shift from being, women are equally going out there and providing?
Absolutely. And there's absolutely no reason that women couldn't have done this. The real reason is responsibility. And responsibility means taking responsibility for yourself to structure your work the way that it works for you, your family, your family's needs, your personal well-being, your lifestyle. And women tend to try to fit themselves in a box. And they say, well, I had to quit my job because the hours were too long. The commute was too long. It was too stressful. My employer wasn't forthcoming to provide me with more support when I had children or when I needed to leave early or something like that. The truth is, women have to stop thinking that way, that somebody else is in charge of accommodating them. On the contrary, we have to design our own job. And when I say design our job, I mean your whole career. You have to think, when I have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, and ranging from age 4 to age 19. And when I had my first baby 20 years ago, I found myself pregnant. I was a very young woman, and I said to myself, how is this going to look over the next 20, 30 years? How am I going to make this work? And I didn't even have 1 kid yet. And I said to myself, the only way I can make this work is to figure out how I can design my day because we've all got the same 24 hours. How can I design my day that I feel like a good mom, I feel like a good wife, and I feel like very fulfilled in my career, that I'm bringing in money. It's an interesting career. I'm not too stressed. I'm more or less content and happy. And when I laid everything out on the table and I looked at it from a bird's eye perspective, like from above at my life, everything became clear. And from then on, I became a yes or no person. I never had a moment again in my life of doubt, indecisiveness, or overthinking, and definitely not any guilt. And the reason I became a yes or no person was because when you design your own life and you take responsibility, not your husband, not your employer, not martyring yourself because you're a mother or a daughter who needs to care for others. When you stop all that and you just take full responsibility for designing your own happiness, you can quickly see, okay, that job would never work for me because I would never see my kids, or I have an elderly parent I need to caregive for. That job just is a no, right? So everything becomes really clear. And then you say, okay, when are the hours I can work? And I can still care for the people I love, because I don't believe women can be happy unless they fulfill both needs. And what happens is women sacrifice, but then they have this sadness, they have this disappointment, they have this regret that they carry around. And then they place all their hopes on the next generation and they push their kids. You need to go to college. You need to do the career you want. You need to travel more and have more fun. And the kids are like, I'm not going to live your life through me, right? Yeah. So I think the truth is we need to take responsibility of our own happiness and stop blaming it on parents, kids, spouses, money. All of those things are manageable once you stop the excuses and the victimhood and instead say, I am going to design the career that I want around the lifestyle that I want to live, to be the best mom, the best wife, the best worker that I want to be. And is there no sacrifice? Of course, there's some sacrifice, because maybe I would have wanted to be a traveling photojournalist in Afghanistan, and I realized, but that would not be a good career when I have children. It wouldn't be safe for me. I wouldn't see them enough, etc. Or maybe I wanted to be an ER nurse, right? Yeah. And maybe I would say the same. I'd be like, there's going to be sacrifice. Yeah. So yes, life is full of sacrifice, but men make sacrifices too. Yeah. The real thing is, can you find a compromise where it's good enough? Yeah. Where, like, my kids, I may not be the mom who picks up the kids every single day. I may not be the mom who bakes all the homemade food like that one mom who doesn't work at all, but I'm good enough. My kids know I love them. My kids see me often enough. Same with my family, my husband and my employer, or with my work, So instead of focus on being perfect, perfectionism is another problem. Yeah. Focus on just being good enough. Giving yourself some slack, forgiving yourself. Be like, do I have to be skinny, beautiful, rich? We're not on Instagram here, okay? This is real life. This is real life. You do not have to be perfect. And then you'll be fine. So that's my advice for your audience. For women.
I think you've said a lot there. I like that. He said, stop the excuses and stop the victimhood. So that's somebody, you've got to put that in the comment section. Stop the victimhood and stop the excuses. And I like the bit where you said, design your own life. We don't have to follow a system. A lot of us follow systems. I mean, I remember by the time I was finishing, when I was in university in my final year, looking at my friends, because our whole life were mapped out. You go and do your O levels, you move to your A levels, you aspire to get into university. By the time you're getting to your third year in university, you're thinking about the man you're going to marry. And I remember a lot of my friends by the third year people were getting so stressed out and, oh, I haven't had a long-term boyfriend yet, but the next stage is marriage. And we realized that the minute you finish university, there's lots of wedding bells around, people feeling insecure. And why have I not found one yet? And so then you end up with anyone that just comes and proposes. If you're not careful, you jump in. And then the next thing is trying to find a job. So design your own life. Don't follow the status quo. Don't follow what society has planned for you. Just design your own life. And I like the bit where you said, take a bird's eye view.
Absolutely.
Until you take a bird's eye view of the whole thing, you can't really see it properly, can you?
But it's even hard. That's why here's the secret. The secret, when it's easy for me to sit here and tell other people advice, oh, take a bird's eye view. But what does that mean? How do you do that? The real reason, you have to do two types of work to get that bird's eye view. The first type of work is the inner work. Mm-hmm. Every single day I pray, mm-hmm. I say a gratitude prayer, mm-hmm. and I journal. Yeah. And if I have time, I meditate. So I'd like to get more consistent, but meditation helps as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of inner work that I do to be in touch with who I am spiritually. Yeah. And on a very deep level, know who I am and what my values are, and have faith and think I'm part of a bigger power in this earth, not just me alone. There's a lot more things happening. And the second thing is by getting the right people around you. So I call it a success team. And these people give you perspective. I was just talking to someone about how to identify your superpowers. And I said, well, it's funny because a lot of times we undervalue ourselves. We don't realize that, and I'm talking about on a skill level, on a behavioral level, on a talent level, and on a physical level. When I was a little girl, I wanted to have brown eyes. So see what I mean about perspective? It's like, but someone else thought blue eyes was cool. Yeah. And I was like, oh, really? You like blue eyes? I want brown eyes. So we undervalue who we are. Yeah. So we need other people to come in and remind us how special we are. And we need to tell that to our kids. Yeah. I wrote an article, said, please don't tell my daughter she's pretty. And this article was about how boys get praised for their abilities. The grandparents, the uncles, the aunties, they say, look how fast you are. Look how strong you are. Look how you're going to be strong like your dad. And then they look at the girl and they say, you're going to be pretty like your mom. What does that do? It makes boys more confident in their abilities. I'm going to run faster. I'm going to try more things. And the girl, she just looks and says, oh my goodness, my whole life will be determined by these things that I pretty much can't change. Can't change my nose, my eyes, my hair. So what does that mean? My whole value is tied into what I look like in the eyes of these people. Whereas my brother, he can be whoever he wants to be. All he needs to do is keep practicing. He'll jump higher, he'll run faster, he'll get stronger, right? Yeah. So girls are conditioned for their limited appearances to please other people, whereas boys are conditioned to take over the world, to just keep trying and get stronger and smarter and faster. And that's a huge problem. And that goes on into who we become. So unless we have a reminder, and we need to tell our kids and we need to tell other people, I really like how you did that today. Like you solved that math problem, or, how fast you are at this. You're so talented in these areas. We need to be very careful how we treat girls and boys and make sure we don't just say, oh, good job, or you're a great kid. Tell them what you liked about what they did, and do that with your husband, do that with your other people too. And say, I always love coming to see you because, it's just, I love being around you because of this and that. You never know when you're going to see someone for the last time. And every single thing that my grandma said to me, who's no longer on this earth, it's still in here, and it's still in here. Yeah. So think about that when you talk to other
footprint, isn't it?
Right. Think about what's important. It's not important to criticize each other. In fact, energy is all it is, right? So when you're upset, someone hurt you or made you angry or maybe cut in front of you in the line or was rude to you, what happens is you have a choice. Either you take their bad energy and then you go home and you're impatient with your husband, you snap at your kids, you're not friendly with somebody who doesn't know what happened, or you put a shield around your heart and you say, you know what? Nothing's going to stomp on my good mood.
Yeah.
So this person can take their energy and take it right back with them. Keep going. Keep going. Not going to come on my territory.
Yeah.
So it's very important who you surround yourself with, because your energy, you need to be creating your own positive energy by prayer, meditation, journaling, really loving yourself. And you need to also be giving it to other people, because maybe your smile that you gave to that one stranger, they took it and gave it to somebody else. And suddenly you've created 1,000 smiles, because that's all it takes, that domino effect, right? Or that one compliment you gave to that friend, you didn't know that secretly she's been struggling. She's been really struggling. And you gave it like a gift. You meant it. You really meant it. But for her, that meant all the difference.
Wow.
You see,
this is amazing.
You never know who's listening. You never know who needs that right now, who needs a hug, who needs a smile, who needs just those words to say, you are worthy. You don't need to prove your worth to anybody. You are already born worthy.
Yeah.
And anyone
this is great, isn't it? For parents, isn't it? Parents that are listening in, I really want you to take this message on board, and you might have to go back and kind of replay it. I mean, Krista is saying we've got to be careful what we are saying to our children. And again, it's the whole conditioning thing, isn't it? We should make sure that we are conditioning them right. I mean, some of the things I constantly battle with is to make sure that some of the negative bits about my upbringing, I don't bring it into how I'm parenting my children, because it's quite easy to do that, because all you know is what models were created for you at home. And if you're not careful, you continue to model that same thing to your children, and they're going to model it on. And it's not easy, especially if the upbringing was so tough and so opposite to where you are. I mean, again, my upbringing was in Ghana, because I'm from Ghana, and then I lived in South Africa for some years. I lived in Liberia as well. So I would say that my upbringing was more of an African one. And I live in England and had my kids who are British, and I struggle with it, because the model that was created for me is very different from the model that is here. And it's quite difficult to try and find the right model for my children. But every day, as you said, you've got to make that conscious effort. And I like the bit where you said you've got to work on your internal self as well as the external, because I mean, one of the things that I do is I run a prayer group 5 days a week. And part of that prayer group, so 6:30 in the morning, there's a number of us that come from different countries. We just log on Zoom. I think there's about 180 people in the group now, but those that can make it every morning, and we do 2 evenings a week and 3 mornings, we just come, and for an hour and a half, 2 hours to just come and pray, because I also believe it is important that we start our day right. You start your day very right. And also, again, I did a teaching about who is in your inner circle. You've got to be careful who is in your inner circle. Absolutely. We don't just want to bring people who will tell us lies and who will tell us the whole feeling good thing. You want people that will be a true reflection of what is going on and can help you modify your behavior. They can correct you when things are going wrong. Neither do you want people who are in that inner circle that is just chipping away at you constantly until you lose every possible shred of confidence that you have. So people, I think we've had a lot in here. Stop the victim, stop the excuses, create your own design your own life, design your own job, have a bird's eye view of your life, and that will be able to help you to be able to then formulate your life. And then women, we need to understand that we've been created for more. And I think that's one of the things that I'm quite passionate about. We have been created for more. And you said we can have it all. Yes, there'll be sacrifices. Yes, there'll be compromises. But don't just take the first hurdle as a hurdle, and so I'm just going to go back to the way things were, or what my mothers used to do, or what people's perception of what I should be doing is. One of my big thing is people don't allow the perception of others to become your reality. People have a perception of you, and now all of a sudden it's your reality. That is what you are living. But yet on the deep inside of you, you know you're not happy with what is going on. But you are trying to allow people to have a perception of who you should be, and that is what you're being. So we've got to go back to this podcast actually, because I think there's so much that you've said in there, Krista, that personally I would have to go back myself and catch up on it. Okay, so there's another question that I have for you. I know that you do a lot of life coaching, mindset change, confidence building. I know we've touched on a few of those, but what is it all about? Because sometimes people ask me, you talk about mindset shift. What is it about? If you had to just give a brief summary about what that entails, could you please help us out on that?
Yes. So mindset is integrated into everything we do, every single moment, even in your sleep, because your subconscious continues working. And basically 80% of your success is mindset, and only 20% is your skill, your action, what you actually do. Okay. Yeah. So if you think about that, we focus on the 20%. We always thinking about practical steps. What do we need to do? How should we do it? But honestly, if you would worry more about your mindset, you'll be further along than anybody, because it's all about we're like actors in a script. So imagine that we were in a movie together and you're playing a role and I'm playing a role and we're just reading the script. Yeah. And what happens in mindset is you're reading someone else's script that they wrote for you. Yeah. And then you're just playing that role over and over, and it means nothing to you. It's not connecting with you on a deeper level. In fact, slowly over time, it chips away at your self-esteem, your self-worth, your value. You become unhappier. You fall into drama, distractions, addictions, just to kind of keep going. And you'll notice unhappy people, they go from one drama to the other because they're trying to get away from what's really happening, which is their heart telling them, this is terrible. You shouldn't be doing this, but they're ignoring it. They won't want to hear because they're afraid of change because they've been conditioned to play that role. Yeah. That's mindset. So in order to uncondition yourself, you have to forgive the people who raised you in a way that they did their best. Yeah. They loved you the best they knew how, and they did their best. And once we realized that that was their best, but that it doesn't have to be the way it is, that there's a difference between loving someone and doing your best, but maybe not doing the way you needed it or what you actually needed. And you can forgive them and love them for that and just say, you know what? It's okay. I don't have to continue that pattern. I don't have to be that person. I can find a better way. And the truth is, we call it mindset, but it's actually heart work. It's actually what we want to do is we want to put yourself back into your heart and get deep down. And that's why I think spirituality is so important, because I don't think it's just you. I believe we're part of a much bigger power and we're all interconnected. Like I said about energy, you surround yourself with the wrong people, you take in their bad energy. You give good light out to other people. You create a beautiful halo around yourself, around all the people you touched, and they in turn take that energy on, right? And what that is it's a mindset shift from having a fixed scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, a gratitude mindset. When I coach somebody who's complaining, the first question I say is, what was the first thing when you woke up this morning that you noticed? And they're like, nothing. I was in a hurry. I was already in a bad mood, whatever. And I said, did you notice that you had a warm bed to sleep in? Did you notice that you opened your window and there was no war happening out your window? Did you notice that your children, your husband, your family were all safe? Stop again and tell me what's the first thing you thought of. That's how you should start your day, is you should say thank you to the universe, to whatever you believe in. Thank you that I'm here this morning, that I woke up, I'm alive, and everyone else around me is alive. That's how you should start your day. And that's a mindset shift. And once you start your day that way, everything, I go around all day long saying thank you. You know, every time I eat a meal, thank you. Every time my child comes home safe, thank you. You know, we just have to think in a way of gratitude and abundance, and that will attract more success towards you. So if you want to get things, be a giver. Go around giving other people your good energy, helping people without expecting things in return. Give back to this universe and you will get twice as much, because that's what it does. It attracts more opportunity towards you the more you help other people.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll see people like that. You'll see givers and you'll see takers. And takers, they just have to keep taking and they never are satisfied. It's like an and givers, on the contrary, they're like, when they die, they've lived a great life. It's not been maybe the richest life or the most, there's, you know, bad things happen to everybody, right? Good or bad, but they are good. They're really fulfilled. They're full. And takers are just like hungry, and then they never are satisfied.
Hungry.
Yeah. So to really be full, give, right?
Yeah. So I think you said 80% of what we do is all about mindset, and 20% is what is your gift, your skill set.
Right.
So we've got to work on your mind, because if you can get your mind right, I mean, I always say, if you can get your mind right, the rest of your body begins to align. If you can get your mind right, everything else begins to align. But if you have a scarcity mindset, everything becomes scarce around you. If you've got an abundance mindset, then you see abundance all the time. And like you said, if you've got a mindset of gratitude, a mindset of being grateful for the very things that are around you, then you begin to attract those things in your life. You begin to attract good things in your life. So people, just a word of encouragement, let us work on our mind. Try and find mindset books and read about them. Get yourself onto a course. I mean, for me, my mindset book for me is the Bible. I'm a Christian, so my Bible is my biggest mindset book. And I spend time meditating on the Word of God daily, just so, and sometimes I do it on the night as well. I write a lot, and I write it on the night just to get my mind into the right frame. And as you said, and when I wake up in the morning, I join this prayer group that we've got on. And so you realize that the rest of your day is kind of framed by that, because you've already put the right stuff in your mind. And it looks like sometimes it feels like you're floating on a bubble for the rest of your day, because it's like nothing can really then disrupt you. I'm not saying it works all the time, but majority of the time you will, because input equals output. Input is always equals output.
It's also, I think, to carry yourself through the day, I like to call it my inner coach.
Yeah.
So what I like to train people to do is I say, you have to be functioning in a place of forgiveness, gratitude, and self-love. Because if you can put those three things together, and that's all your mindset, remember?
Yeah.
Everything else will line up. So gratitude, we already talked a lot about gratitude. Self-love is super important. So that inner coach throughout the day is saying you're coaching yourself. So you have to become your own best friend, your own advocate. Yeah. Instead of saying, oh, you know, I'm insulting myself, like you didn't do that right, or you're late. You have to come to yourself as a place of your own best friend, in a place of self-love, and encourage yourself. Say, we're going to get there. We're going to do a great job. We're going to finish this essay up really nice. We're going to have a wonderful evening with our family. You know, keep talking to yourself throughout the whole day. People who talk to themselves are not crazy. They're smart. So I'm not advocating you go around talking out loud to yourself, but I'm talking about developing that inner coach of self-love from a place of self-love and forgiveness. You must, in order to have the right kind of mindset, you can be the most grateful person and everything, but if you have not forgiven everybody, yourself, people who raised you, people who did you wrong, circumstances beyond your control, like where you were born, under what conditions you had to go through. You got to forgive all the past. And you have to say, no one owes me anything.
Yeah.
But I am responsible 100% for my own destiny. And if you look at what you were saying about the Bible,
yeah,
I think it's so important too to continue reading, learning, listening to podcasts, listen to successful people who have made something out of their lives.
Yeah.
Because we tend to operate from that scarcity, jealousy, envious place. That is very wrong. Very, very wrong. Because the more you look, the more you find. So the more you say, oh, I'm just in a place of inequality, I'm down on my luck. I didn't get a break early on in my life, therefore, blah, 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 blah. You will find more and more unhappiness and more victimhood. But if you do the contrary and you say, many people in their lives started in a very bad place, in very bad conditions, and they made it to the top.
Yeah.
If you think of that, you're going to find more literature, more examples, more videos, more podcasts where you see those people talking about their lives.
Yeah.
And then that's what you're going to listen to. So it's like a radio channel. You can either listen to the negative channel or you can listen to the positive.
The positive channel.
And the more you listen, the more you'll see that.
Yeah.
So it will become your reality. So guys, your thoughts, mindset is a lot about your thinking is so important. Yeah. Focus on the good in life and you will have 10 times more of it. Focus on the bad, you will have 10 times more.
Yeah.
You will become whatever you think.
Yeah.
That's mindset.
Wow. I mean, there's this quote as well that says that you are always one thought away from where you need to be. And I also believe that I'm also always one version away from the person that I'm meant to be. And so if I don't like this version of myself, think yourself into your next version. Become the next version, a better version of yourself, and be where you need to be.
But also forgive yourself. So what that means is you really have to say, I'm at this place. There's a reason. My past decisions, combined with circumstances beyond my control, have brought me to where I am right now. But I cannot regret one single thing that happened because for some reason, all that was my destiny. That was my destiny. There's a reason this had to happen to me. Whenever someone has a tragedy happen to them, we can pray and we can say, why, God, why did you do this to my family? I've been a good person. Why did this have to happen to me? And I like to think that there is a bigger reason behind it, that maybe this had to happen to you because now you're so much stronger. Your mission is to help other people go through it, face that, survive, and you owe it to do that. That's your mission. So we have to always turn the channel, right? Negative or positive, but it's our choice. So what you said about being one version away, think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I also have all the tools that I need to get to that next level. There's absolutely nothing missing, guys. People tend to always be like, well, if only I had $10,000 on my account, if only my husband was rich, if only I won the lottery, whatever it is, or if only I had done this before I had kids. I hear that a lot. All I can tell you is no, heck no. People have done it for every single situation that I've heard. I can find you somebody out there with a success story who overcame even worse. Someone who had 12 kids who did this, what you want to accomplish. I can find that person. So instead of making those excuses, reposition it as I have all the tools right now that I need to get to that next level.
Wow.
And that's why you have to design your life, because it's like a GPS. People come to me and they're like they're kind of like chasing their tail, And I'm like, instead of just chasing the next best thing, why don't you zoom out and look at that bird's eye position of your life? Map out your life long-term. Don't look at the short-term wins. I want you to look beyond that, because those short-term wins will not make you happy. You might be heading in the wrong path.
Yeah.
Instead, focus on the big picture. What will make you happy? Put that ego aside. Put other people's opinions far, far away from you. This is your life.
And you've got only one shot at that life.
By the way, a lot of people come to me and say, well, that's not true, because I have my kids and I have my spouse and I have my family who's going to judge me or is dependent on me. And here's my answer. Put on your own oxygen mask first. You cannot pull your whole village with you, but you can fly away from your village, get to a really good place, and come back and help them. Okay, people?
Yeah.
So don't, if you're trying to pull the whole village with you, you're not going to get very far. What's that saying? I think it's Native American. They say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Go fast. Go get yourself fixed. Get what you need. And then come back.
Yeah.
Right?
And all of you just remain where you are and just die, isn't it? Oh gosh, that is.
How are you going? If you love these people, if you tell me, but I love these people. Well, if you love them, that's what a good love, that's what real love is to me. Real love is wanting, when you ask me, what's the one thing I want for my 4 children? I want them to find happiness, but real happiness, not fleeting happiness. Whatever that looks like in their lives, I will support them. I will really, really support them. So, and I think that's the problem, is that we have to rethink, what is happiness? Happiness isn't fitting into the expectations. Like you told me, you know, by the 3rd year, you have to find your husband and you have to start thinking about that. Doesn't work for it. How are you supposed to fit that into your life?
No.
You know, I believe destiny sends you that person when it's time. Destiny sends you a child when and if it's time. That's not your decision.
No.
You're part of a bigger picture. So stop trying to force things and just focus on that big picture of how you want to live your life. Yeah. And as soon as you do that, you'll become a yes, no person, and everything else will become very clear. This is the path there. That's not the path there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people around you, support is all you need. Yeah. You don't have to agree with my decisions. You can be worried. I respect that you're worried about those decisions because you love me, but these are my decisions.
And own that decision. Take 100% responsibility for those decisions. And nobody's saying that you will not have to tweak those decisions along the way. It's not written in stone either. So you can say, this is the decision, this is what I intend to do. And if you, as you go along, you think you've got to tweak that decision, tweak it. But sometimes people make certain decisions and they just want to stick with it because, again, for fear of what people will say. It's my life. I've got one shot at that life and I'm going to make it count. That's all you've got to say.
You know, I believe in putting in the work if it's something you believe in. But if it's not working, go and pray on it and say, why, what is this? Maybe it's time to let go. Maybe this is not working. And that's what I talked about: forgiveness, gratitude, forgiveness, self-love, because along the way, you're going to have to forgive yourself for letting things, you're always going to have something to feel guilty about in your life. And we tend to get too entwined with the responsibilities of making everyone else happy. When really, you know, like a couple who's fighting all the time, they're like, well, we can't get a divorce because, well, it's against our beliefs and it's also maybe for the children bad. But honestly, those kids are going to thank you someday when they're like, finally, you stopped fighting. And finally, I see both of you happy. For the first time, maybe in my whole life, I saw both of you happy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not advocating for a divorce or for staying together. What I'm advocating for is really thinking you can only go so far before you have to just let faith take over and be like, something has to change. And whatever it is, it has to come back to being happy, truly being happy. And also, you know, having faith that there's a reason it had to be this way. Whatever it is. And that's where the forgiveness comes in, right? So
Because
mine,
this is such a frank conversation. It is a frank, I know it's a leadership conversation, but this is such frank conversation. And I think that it's a moment of reflection for each and every one of us. Listen to what Krista is saying. And I think that we should all, no matter how successful you think your life is, we've got to be reflective of some of these things. Is there self-love in my, am I truly forgiven? Because I talk to people all the time, and they talk about upbringing, they talk about sometimes what the parents did, they talk about decisions that had been made for them. Again, I like what you said. You said forgive and move on. They gave you the best that they could. Even if they never gave you the best that they could, it's happened. I say something, I said, look, the person, whatever happened, took away your past. Don't let it continue to take away your future.
but that was the best they could do. Even if a parent was a bad parent, even if they were absent or abusive, what that tells me is that was the best they could do. And all we have to know, we don't know the circumstances. We can never know that. But one thing we know for sure, something was wrong in that, with that person, with their faith, with their self-love, with their whatever was happening. You have to extend them empathy. And you have to say, even the people who really hurt you, you can't carry that weight around with you. You have to get the forgiveness. And I'm not saying it's easy, especially if somebody hurt you. Okay. But I want you to know that you cannot move forward into a happy future until you've done the forgiveness work. No matter what, you're going to have to. You might want to kind of get away from it, but you'll have to, because you will carry it in your subconscious.
Forgiveness is not just for the other person. Forgiveness is for you as well.
No, it's mostly for you. It's mostly for you. There's something really freedom. Oh, I let go. Oof, I can breathe. That, people did me wrong, but now I can let it go. I can really let it go. And it's a process, right? But once you do that, you talk about being a leader. And I know your podcast is a lot about leadership. How does this all tie back into leadership? Heck, it's all the same thing. Basically, if you're operating from a place of knowing the life you want to live, the type of person you want to be, everything becomes yes, no. You don't harbor guilt. You don't harbor a lot of overthinking things. Things become crystal clear in your leadership as well. So you're looking at things and you know what's right. Because you're listening to your heart. And sometimes things that are right aren't the popular opinion. Or it's not the mainstream thing. And you're like, you know what? I am going to follow my heart, because I have such a strong connection to my faith and to who I am and how I see this world, that I know this is the right decision. And by the way, you have to own your mistakes too. So being a leader also means, at that time, I made this decision because I'm trying to follow the right path. It didn't take me there. It turned out to be a dead end. It didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. Own that. Don't be angry. Don't be bitter. Don't be ashamed. Just own it. Say, look, it's okay, because you have to fail forward, and failure is the way to success. But trust me, it's not separate. You cannot succeed if you don't fail. You must fail forward. And every time someone fails, I say, congratulations. Congratulations, because now you're on the path. And once you fail, it becomes easier to fail. And then you're like, you know what? I'm doing good. But it's true. A guy today just wrote on LinkedIn that he tried to apply to Microsoft, a big company, for 18 months. He applied 5 times. Now he has a wonderful job there. But it took him 5 times. So what would he have done if he would beat himself up and say, I'm not going to do it? He listened to his heart. He looked at his big picture of the way he wants to live. And he said, no, I want that job. I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to get that job. All people who started out at the bottom, they knew what I call the North Star, which is like where you want to go in your life, right? And that's what I mean by designing your life. And I do a training on this because it's so important to me that people know their North Star. And a lot of people, they're just looking at these short-term things. They're not looking at their bird's eye picture. Get out of your mind and go and look at your life, and quiet all the noises from your neighbors, your friends, your family, and be like, I'm going to have to own up to my decisions. So I'm going to have to stand in front of them and I'm going to say, this might be hard for you to hear. This might not be what you expected from me.
Yep.
I may disappoint some of you. And I sincerely am sorry that I have to, but I cannot deny who I am. I cannot deny my power, and I cannot deny what my heart and my faith are telling me to do. Yeah. And that's how you have to live your life, because then you won't regret. You'll regret their hurt. You'll be like, I truly regret. I don't want to disappoint people. I don't want people to be upset, but I can't live for you guys. I have to live for myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's only a room for the one person in the grave, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to, oh, what did my auntie say? What did my neighbors say? What did my colleague? No, you're got to live your own life.
Yeah.
One life.
To be answerable for that life, that one life.
Okay. Right.
Now, turning our attention a little bit to your podcast, because I know you're a podcaster as well. And one of the podcasts that you've been working on is Taking Mondays Back. What inspired that?
Yes. So I would say that the number one thing that makes me sad is when people don't love their jobs. And the reason I focus on the job is because that's the place where we actually spend our most time. So when I ask people, what is the number one thing in what's important to you in your life? Without a fail, they will say, my family, my loved ones. Now let me look at your schedule and tell me, how many hours per day do you spend working or with your loved ones? You see what I'm saying? So
I'm guilty.
So the truth is that working takes up so much of our time in our lives that it's so important to align with what you're doing on multiple levels and feel really fulfilled by what you do. And I've actually, like I told you about designing your life. So I have this podcast where I talk a lot about how to maximize that. And one of the things I believe strongly in is never focusing on a job. I don't believe you were put on this earth to have a job. I believe that people have a lot of talents and a lot of skills. And over the course of your adult life, you're going to change a lot. So getting yourself tied in too much to one job is wrong. Or on the contrary, stepping out of the workforce and saying, I need to caregive. I can't work. That's wrong too, because I think that you can make money in so many different ways, especially today in 2021. There are zero excuses. You can have 10 kids. You can be, living in a remote place. There are ways to make money, trust me. And so what I teach is 12 revenue streams. And I think a minimum of 3.
We've got to have you again, Krista. You've got to come and talk to us about the 12 revenue streams.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to attach my podcast. I'll give that to you, because just yesterday I did one about money, where I go into a lot of details about how I think people can rethink the whole money, because we talked about scarcity mindset and mindset in general. Yeah. So I think that on my podcast, I'm trying to get people to really align with what they do and feel happy about it. And most importantly, money is just a tool towards freedom. So what that means is I just want you to have financial freedom ultimately. And financial freedom doesn't mean you have to be the richest person. It means you have to have enough that you sincerely don't worry about your bills, that you feel content and you can provide for yourself and your loved ones. Is that's all we need in life. We don't need to have always the newest things or the most amount of things. In fact, most of those people are unhappy. And trust me, I know. I'm from San Francisco. There's a over concentration of billionaires in Bay Area, in California, and money does really not buy you happiness. But loving what you do, that's priceless. Yeah. And then it will trickle back when you come home at night. Do you feel exhausted? Do you feel in a bad mood? Do you feel worried because frankly, you're working a lot, but you're not making enough? Those are the things that my mission is to help people avoid that. And I do it through career and business coaching under the umbrella of mindset, because like I said, 80% is mindset, 20% is the action. We work out the plan, the big plan, and then The action is just lining up. It's so easy. Once you figure that out, everything becomes crystal clear what you need to do. So I help people in one-on-one coaching. I have a podcast. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I have a newsletter. I have a blog. And then I run a lot of workshops. Like I'm doing next month in June, I'm doing a lot of money workshops. Yeah. I do a goal setting workshop, like I told you about the North Star, to really help you with the bird's eye perspective. I do a really good time management productivity workshop. People love that, especially women, because as you know, the day goes by and it's snowballed and you're doing way too much, then you're exhausted, you're giving too much away. So I help people kind of look back at their time and manage that. And then
I will put up your contact details as well, so people can see how to get in touch with you for that.
Yes. And my last thing is I have a membership, and this is a membership called From Follower to Leader. And it's about thought leadership. And thought leadership is, I want people to learn how to tap into their voice, their unique inner voice, set up a content strategy, and get the word out into this world. And I think it's a lot harder than it looks. I see people on LinkedIn struggling all the time, posting content that they think is going to get attention or not knowing what to post. And that's unfortunate because, like I told you, you never know who's listening. So your message is so important. You have something to say that I cannot say. I'm not you. I don't have your unique life experiences. So I help people get that out, set it up. And then the idea is to grow into thought leaders, and find their tribe, find the community that needs them, you know? And I love that because I'm essentially training people to do what I'm doing. And I do that in a membership because I find that that takes time, and people need a lot of ongoing resources and community to do that. And that's called From Follower to Leader.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes. That's amazing. We'll share the contact details so that if people want to take up the membership or follow you and get to know a bit more, they can contact you as well.
Awesome.
I know that one of the things that you are is you're very big on tech. You are a tech geek, you call yourself. So I'm not the one calling you a tech geek. So people don't slaughter me just yet. Krista calls herself a tech geek. Yes. And I know you've worked a lot in San Francisco and in all the big tech industries as well. What would you say is the importance of technology? I know that we are in a technological revolution. But what would you say is the importance of tech right now?
Tech is meant to solve your problems, to make things easier for you, to automate, to make things faster, to take it off your plate. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who are terrified of tech. And so they'd rather do things the harder way, do more steps than to actually figure out how to use tech. And so in my coaching, I like to tell people that you're not dumb. The tech is either too advanced for you, or it's just the wrong tech. I truly believe that whatever we're trying to achieve, we can find a different tool that's better for you. And I like to keep it really simple. In fact, I know tech. I try tech all the time. I invest a lot of my own money and time trying tech or using tech. But I'm not one of those people who forces any of my clients into a certain system. In fact, in my membership, I've been in other memberships where the coach really forced them into like, no, this is the best one. You have to learn it. I would rather take off the stigmas, take off the stress, and be like, no, let's figure out what is the operation you're trying to achieve. What is it? You're trying to send emails, you're trying to build a website, and then basically find something that works for you. And if it's really something that you don't have to do, there's people at every budget who will do it for you. So then I'm like, take off the stress. Stop trying to do that. That's something that we can find someone for whatever budget you have. We can find someone to do this for you. You have more important things to do. Anything that causes you stress is bad. So either the tech is too advanced or it's just the wrong tech. You know, there's some tech where it's just like, I really just don't like this software. But not doing it is going to cost you time, money, that you could be spending your valuable time on something else that you enjoy, and you wouldn't be stressed either. So please see tech as your friend, not your enemy. And you don't have to keep up with the Joneses. If someone there's always going to be some new shiny object someone's going to throw out and be like, oh, aren't you using that? You're like, no. And you'll feel guilty or something. Don't feel like that either. It's not because you're not smart enough. It's because there's a lot of tech that's way overcomplicated, where people spend, 6 months training to use that tech. Is that what you want to do? Are you trying to become an engineer? Oh, if you're not, then forget it. We'll find something much simpler for you. So I'm really good about matching people to their tech. I know all the tech, so I can give a lot of options, and I can figure out the comfort level, the budget level, and I'm very scrappy. So I usually start people at a level under what they're expecting. So I'm like, there's a free version. We're going to use the free version. It does the job. And they're like, well, my friend told me you have to pay this one. I'm like, nope, you do not have to do anything. You can make thousands of dollars with free tech. You don't even have to have a paid version of that software. Even LinkedIn, I've made 7 figures on LinkedIn as a coach by producing content consistently, reaching out to people, doing business networking. I have the free version of LinkedIn. I don't have Sales Navigator. I don't even have Premium. And they've given it to me for free, and I didn't like it. LinkedIn reached out. They said, we'd like to give you a year for free. I tried it. I didn't like it. I was like, I don't like this software. So you see what I mean? So you can't be chasing after the shiny new tech toy and thinking that's going to be a miracle for you. Maybe it won't even work for you, but most importantly, just keep your comfort level and figure out, is this tool something that can really help my business? And then talk to somebody why, and not a salesperson. Talk to other people. And one of my best pieces of advice is just to go out to Facebook groups and ask people. Like, if you're a female entrepreneur, go to a group that has a lot of women entrepreneurs in it and say, hey, I'm looking for an email software, or I'm looking for a sales funnel software. What are your favorites and why? And then if they respond, you can DM them and you can say, would you mind answering a couple of questions? People love to help each other. So don't be afraid of tech. That's my biggest advice.
That's great. Okay. So one of the things that I know that you've also developed is a marketing solution for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs and small business owners. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
The marketing solutions that you have developed.
So I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years. And the reason I became an entrepreneur was because I listened to my heart, and I realized that after having my first child, that working a really stressful job, 80 hours a week, being on somebody else's time control was not going to work for me for the life that I wanted to live. I wanted to have more children. I knew from an early age I wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to have multiple children. So because I've been an entrepreneur so long, and a mom just as long, I really understand the framework of building a healthy business. And what I see out there right now is a lot of people with a lot less experience than me saying things that they cannot back up with methods that are very, very narrow.
Very vague.
They basically, what I call it is a one pony trick. That's an American thing to say. But basically they know one tool, or they know one thing, and then they learned it and they start selling it to others as if it was the holy grail. This is all you have to do and you'll be a millionaire. Really? Please be very careful, guys, because the reason I built this framework for people is because I find that business is a marathon, not a sprint. If someone's out there telling you, oh, I have a quick income opportunity for you, in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you're going to make thousands of dollars, run, because it's really bad. Right now, people are being bombarded with illegitimate offers. And sometimes they're hard to spot because a lot of people are doing bogus testimonials. There's big affiliate groups out there MLM groups. Not all of them are bad, but a lot of their sales tactics are.
Yeah.
And what that means is they want you to invest money up front. You have to meet a minimum quota every month, or you're going to basically be stuck with unsold product. They don't really tell you that in the beginning.
No, they don't. No.
And also the amount of money you make is very much less than the stars that they show. They'll have a few case studies. Oh, look, Monica, she made, within 3 weeks, she was making thousands of dollars, when in reality, she's one in millions.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of naive people.
Probably never made that amount of money.
Maybe didn't even make, or we don't know the details. One thing you guys have to realize is when you see these success stories, first of all, they're one in a million. So it feels like everybody's making money. It's not. For every single person who actually is successful, there's billions of people who fail and don't have success. And number two is it's not overnight. So behind every successful story, there's probably 10 years of hard work that you don't see because it's not glamorous. We're not going to say, well, before he became a multimillionaire, he went bankrupt 7 times and he lost 3 of his homes and he got divorced twice. That's not on the resume.
No, it's not.
Okay? So it's under the carpet. So my point being is that I built this marketing framework because I don't want people to be lied to. I sincerely, it hurts. And I have so many clients who have cried, who said, I took out a loan to invest in this bogus business idea, or my wife is sick and I'm trying to pay her extra medical bills, so I need more money. And I fell for it. And desperate people, but good people. Desperate people do desperate. I'm an honest coach. And it's hard because there's this word coach has so become dishonest. But I'm first and foremost, I'm just an entrepreneur with 18 years of experience. So trust me, I've done it all. I've seen it all. And I know how to prepare someone the proper way for success, long-term success, not quick, easy money. But in the meantime, people have a lot of options to make money. Like if you would come to me and you would say, I want to set up a business. The first thing we would do is let's find a few one-on-one clients who need your services. So you have some income coming in. The second thing, do some workshops. I'm doing a lot of workshops, and what it is it's quick money, but you give people a taste of who you are, and they may later want to keep coming back and work with you because they're like, wow, I really liked what you taught or the way you taught. And number two, you're making some quick money, right? I'm like, let's figure out an offer that you can make. You can make $1 million with a $20 offer. Easy. Not easy, but I'm saying like people don't realize how you don't need to have this massive course that you spent months building and then it flops. You have enough expertise that you can launch something quickly for $20 and you can actually market it right. You can make the same amount of money than you would if you spent a year building this massive, expensive course. So get started with less than you think you need. When I launched my podcast, I didn't have any equipment. I did not have a microphone because those microphones are expensive. I didn't have all the things that I thought you needed to have a podcast. I had a phone and I had a free recording software on my phone and I just uploaded it to the cloud.
Wow.
And I did it in my car because I knew that noise was I'm like, let me do it somewhere where it's quiet. So I went to my car and I recorded my first podcast. Do 100 crappy jobs before you invest your own money into an editor, equipment, software. You do not have to do it perfect. That's insecurity. Yeah. So that's kind of how I teach people in my program.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Can I then, this is more turning your attention to the pandemic and the crisis that we see all around. What one thing or two things have you learned out of the pandemic? And I think maybe this question is too easy for you, because you've talked about a lot of forgiveness. You've talked about a lot of gratitude, and I'm sure you're going to be coming from that angle anyway. But what two things do you want to pass on to viewers that you have picked up out of this pandemic?
Number one is we must be willing to address and deal with conflict in our lives. When things don't go as planned, when things rattle us, when things throw us out of our routines, thousands of people had to suddenly work from home who'd never worked from home before. Schools were closed in many parts of the world. So parents suddenly found themselves becoming teachers as well. Many things changed, and that unsettled people enormously. Life, we are very resilient, and life is always going to find a way to throw us a curveball. Something will happen in your life that you're not right now expecting, including me and you.
Yeah.
We must get over the idea that we can control everything. We are part of a bigger plan. We're doing our best here to be good people, to navigate life, to be honest and true, so that when we die, we won't have all this guilt. But at the same time, the pandemic taught us that no one saw that coming, right?
No.
So what does that mean? It means that you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And as a mom, I think this skill comes naturally to me, because if someone asks me, I would like to become a mother, what is your one tip? And I will say, learn patience. And so when something comes out of the blue, my car broke down, there's a worldwide pandemic, whatever happens in your life, you have to think, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to do my best with these, whatever circumstances you have being dealt with, you're just going to follow your heart, use your intuition, and do your best. And that's really something that we can take beyond the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee that maybe not another pandemic, God forbid, but maybe something else will happen in life to you on a personal level or a political level or whatever it is. Something will happen. Yeah. And we just have to follow our faith and be like, I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to control it. You cannot control things like that.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you ever so much, Krista. I think that this conversation for me has been, I don't know if I can use the word, very insightful, because I don't know everything in life. I don't know a lot of things in life. And I love this conversation for myself because I take home quite a lot. And I think today you've done such a fantastic job when it comes to the whole mindset thing, about encouraging moms, about trying to stop fitting into the boxes that people have created for us, stop fitting into some of the boxes that we create, because a lot of us, we create those boxes for ourselves as well. We create the prisons for ourselves, and then we are shut in our own prisons. And though we are not happy in it, but we created those prisons for ourselves, or created those boxes for ourselves, because we thought it was going to make us happy, and then we're stuck with it for life and not ready to step out. So and I think one thing I'm going to be taking back home as well with me is the 80% is all about the mindset, and 20% is your skill set and the actual action that you put into it. So if you can stop worrying about the action bit and the skill set bit, and start fixing your mindset. Sometimes people think education is enough to fix the mindset. No, education is not enough to fix your mindset. A lot of it has to be both internal work as well as the external work. So you can't keep doing the external work and forgetting about the internal work. Work on yourself within, work on yourself externally, put the right people in your inner circle. But I know that what you basically is saying is we are capable of stepping out of whatever we want to call it. If you want to call it a comfort zone, whatever you want to call it, you are capable of stepping out and stop allowing other people to define you, and begin to define yourself and have a bird's eye view of yourself, of your life, the life you want to live. What life have I come from? What life am I living now? And where do I want to be? And begin to design your own life. So people, for me, I have taken quite a lot home today. Krista, thank you ever so much. It's been amazing having you. Is there one word or one tip that you want to leave for someone today before you say your goodbyes?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me and for everything you do. God bless you and what you're doing, because like we said earlier, you never know who's listening and who needs to hear these messages.
Yeah.
And I would like to leave you with a quote from Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
She says, if you don't like your life, change it.
Yes.
And if you can't, change your attitude.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know, and that's something, you guys, that's mindset right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That woman, by the way, if you want an author to follow, she's no longer with us.
Amazing one.
Immortal. She's immortal. So go read some of her stuff. You'll find something valuable.
Mothers out there, let's stop using excuses. I'm a mother and I'm a wife and I've got too much to juggle with. I'm a caregiver. You can still do it. We've seen amazing Krista. She's a mother of 4, but she's making it all happen. So we can make it. We can live a balanced life. Thank you very much, Krista.
Thank you so much.
Thank you ever so much. Viewers, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel and Facebook page, I want you to subscribe to it. You can follow Krista on LinkedIn. Krista, are you on Instagram as well?
Yes, I'm on Instagram.
So yes, she's on Instagram. I know she's got a YouTube channel as well, so you can follow her YouTube channel. Are you on Facebook? Follow her on Facebook. And I believe that there's so much tips that we can get off her. She also has a membership that you can subscribe to and get all these amazing stuff into in-depth, because today we just scratched the surface. There's so much more. I want to know about the 12 income streams, because I think that's a fantastic thing that we need for a time like this. So people should subscribe to you and be able to get more information on them. Very much, viewers. Until we come back next week, I've got another amazing person in the studio. So I would want to really encourage you to hit the notification button and be ready for this conversation next week, Wednesday too. Thank you very much.